Hey, it's Soul with another video, and we're just gonna chat for a little bit. You cool with that? Okay, awesome. Like the video, subscribe if you want, because I'm definitely trying to angle myself to be like one of those, bigger player housing creator people. That might be a red flag, but anyway, we're going to talk about player housing, and I'll do my best to section my ramblings off into some organized bits. So if you haven't seen it already, there was recently a big article talking about the how to get things in player housing. It's not fully fleshed out, not everyone's question was answered, but I gotta point out the significance of this recent post. First though, we gotta step back and look at how far we've come though. Late last year came the initial reveal along with a concept video. It was a teaser, pointed out very little, but the existence of housing itself, and that the team was confident enough to finally announce it. A few short months later, we got our first big blog for housing describing the team's philosophies and some example concept art. We learned we'd be placing items freely across a 3D space, but we didn't get the exact specifics that was going to come later. Everyone is going to have a house, but so far it'll be restricted to 2 houses, 1 per faction across the entire Battle.net account. Housing would be player first and not revenue first, and I know that you don't agree, but let's not lose sight here. But anyway, back to housing. Our houses would sit in these neighborhoods, so while we don't get our super secluded cabin in the woods, we can at least choose a plot in the neighborhood that closely meets that vibe. It's right over there, by the way, or it may be over there. About a month later, we learned more, and things got really exciting because not only did we start learning the gameplay of how to build, we got snazzy video footage too, making this feel very real and very much on the way. It demonstrated housing in World of Warcraft definitely was not going to be just the kind of thing where we choose a building and we get like this prefabricated thing and we select items to hook to pre-selected places. Housing is going to be more like a blank canvas for us to shape the walls and create this living space, or a social gathering spot, or a shrine to your greatness, or this abstract diorama of who knows what you want to say. But okay, we've learned some cool things, but how do we get this stuff? Which brings us to the present and the most recent blog post that I covered the other day. How will housing decor be earned? The answer is basically yes. Yes to pretty much every possibility, from professions to drops to the in-game shop to achievements and quests, both old and new. The significance of this post means that for some of us at least, player housing is now live. I mean, it sounds crazy, and you're right, because I am in fact a little bit crazy. But hear me out though. Knowing now that many housing unlocks will be grandfathered in when this feature is available, it presents a unique opportunity for us to start working towards unlocks now, like many months ahead of launch. Now, of course, I want to make it super clear. I'm not telling you to go out there and start grinding every achievement you can see. Don't blindly force yourself into a grind when you can be doing anything else instead. Of course, please focus on having fun in World of Warcraft or whatever game you're doing, whatever. That said though, what sorts of goals could we set for ourselves now? What sorts of achievements could we at least entertain? I think we can approach this similarly to the Mist of Pandaria remix, where we can decide and then focus on certain goals knowing they're likely to cover more than a few decorations later. Blizzard has already basically told us that previous meta achievements from Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands and Dragonflight, those will award something. Again, we don't know what's being given or if more decor will be given along the way, so it's going to be up to you to decide if it's worth going for now. The BFA meta achievement, that was pretty recent, so who's to say that they're not thinking of additional meta achievements for more previous expansions to add in the coming patches. So it might be a good idea to do most everything from previous expansions, which, again, I admit, that sounds pretty overwhelming. I would especially avoid doing a lot of Legion stuff, knowing that the Legion remix is coming later this year. I think there might be some safer goals to reach in case you wanted to try making some early headway though. For example, maybe Lore Master achievements. Like, that doesn't seem so bad, and it still happens to cover a lot of ground across all the expansions. Some folks like me haven't gone back to re-clear the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor after the Cataclysm even, this many years later. Some have completed one faction from Battle for Azeroth, the entire story, because it's very long, but they haven't done the other. The same goes for all the class quests in Legion, but again, I suggest waiting until the Legion remix comes and goes. So maybe you want to check if you've unlocked all the allied races, or if you've unlocked heritage armor for every race, because hey, there might be a little extra added after housing is brought in. And from the readings, these achievements will continue to be added over time to both new and previous expansions. So in a way, it's kind of like retconning design. This means that what we achieve now might not be part of anything with the launch of housing, but it could be down the line. There are other fulfilling, though maybe riskier ventures to take on, namely with professions. Now, they made it clear, and this was taken from the most recent blog post, decor will be crafted by all existing, non-gathering primary professions instead of creating a new profession dedicated solely to it. So the idea of a carpentry profession, it's all but dead. And it appears the same goes for like a wood chopping profession, and there's going to be a special reagent specific to each expansion area. Now, how that's managed is unknown. They might do something restrictive, like make these certain expansion era reagents like a daily cooldown or something, although that's a later problem. What can we do now then? It might be a good idea to take some of your characters who are profession focused and make sure their profession levels are maxed out for every expansion. We didn't get many more details such as where to get recipes. I bet most recipes will be learned via trainer. Some could be learned from profession achievement, they could be rare drops, they can be bought from reputation vendors, I mean, who knows? Which makes it sound like reputations also ought to be on one of your to-do lists. You'll want to double check which of your characters has the highest rep for some of these older factions, because warband reps, those haven't been applied everywhere yet, and it might change in the coming months. There's nothing to worry about now, but I'm actually a little bit nervous about how the market is going to respond to, or, well, maybe how the market is already responding to player housing. No doubt once housing goes live, it's going to unleash a wave of consumption the game has never seen, because it's not going to be just the new expansion stuff in demand. Almost every material from the past 20 years could be in play, but here's the twist. We're not getting housing for many, many months, and in the meantime, some players are carefully preparing, they're leveling their characters' professions, they're consuming resources to level said professions, but they're also hoarding loads of extra materials to possibly sell later. As we learn more, we'll start understanding which materials will be in the most demand, and which professions will use what, and the markets will get a little bit more specific on what to farm up. I kind of suspect the biggest winners of the early housing market will, okay, it's not even so far-fetched, but it's going to be the whales. The whales are going to win, right? They're going to control the price and have the biggest stock of goods with which to control said price, and will come out huge. Now, of course, that's not to say more casual traders can't ride that wave and unload their own stock of materials at prices way higher than what they bought them for. So it might be worth looking at the auction house over the coming weeks and months and look at the price trends to see if there's an opportunity. A few more comments I want to make on the recent article, and I'll just read these bullet points here. Decorations are only placeable if you have enough of them, based on how many you've collected. If you want to place 4 chairs, you'll need to collect 4 chairs. Furthermore, collected decorations are shared across your entire Battle.net account, so anything you collect on any character, on any of your game accounts, is shared across all of them. If you have 4 fountains and place 3 of them on the lawn of your Alliance house, your Horde house will only have 1 available to place. On the flip side, there's a concept of unique decor that you can only place once, no matter how many copies of it you may have. It doesn't make sense, for example, to place 9 copies of Onyxia's head on your wall. I have some concerns, but not concerns about the quantity amount. According to the post, Blizzard considers the likes of chairs, along with beds and shelves and so on, as commodity items, as in they're easy to get, they're inexpensive, and perfectly accessible, so getting a bunch more shouldn't be that hard. But I wonder if there's an actual quantity limit, like is there some upper limit to like how many chairs I could have? Can I have 100 tables and flip them on their sides and make a wall of tables? I mean, hey, it sounds pretty stupid, but I think I should have the opportunity to do that if I want to. They talk about unique rewards in that you can only place 1 Onyxia's head in our Alliance house, even if we, have more than 1. But is that going to follow the same rule as other furniture? Like, can I place at least the same kind of unique in the Horde version of our house? And what about the rewards that come from a quest? Like, are all of them going to be like a one-time unique thing? Or will the quest give me like the first one for free, but it's going to unlock something where, there might be someone in our expansion capital or our neighborhood, like they might have a housing NPC that lets me buy any of the decor that I had unlocked from quests, depending on what I completed. I gotta say, that'd be pretty helpful, especially if I completed some of these quests, I don't know, like 20 years ago, and I don't quite know where to get more of these items or whatever. So having a handful of NPC vendors, that would be pretty helpful, especially if they show me what I can and cannot buy because I didn't finish that particular quest line, and then I can go search for it. And they also talked a bit on drops that come from dungeons or raids. They pointed out this crate that drops from the seat of the triumvirate dungeon, which already sends all sorts of messages our way for the near future. They don't want us farming the same dungeon over and over for years or send our alt armies, so what might work? Like, what would be a good design in this case? There's like one idea that comes to mind, and my ideas are always great. It's to have like this brief rotation of decor hunting holidays, kind of like a time walking rotation, but entirely separate. So for example, no matter what, this Argusian crate has a chance to drop all the time. But when it's Draenei week, I guess, this drop rate goes up to like 100%. So, there's going to be a lot of these fast rotating themes that direct players to slam certain themed dungeons for these guaranteed decor drops. Like this week, it's the old gods plus the undead, and where all the old raids and dungeons have these guaranteed drop rates from certain bosses or whatever. And then another week, it's going to be the dragons and the blood elves, something like that. And the holiday will give, well, hopefully it'll give like an easy list showing you all the guaranteed drop bosses, or maybe an add-on will do that. Someone's going to make it, right? Maybe the neighborhood can do a collective vote on which theme should be next, so it's not like the same for everyone in the game, although I can see the risks with possible trolls and non-votes spoiling that. Last little thing, okay, it's actually a big thing, is that it seems more apparent that at this time there's only going to be 2 houses available for our entire Battle.net account, one for the Horde, one for the Alliance. Some of us already kind of figured that, but it seems more or less solidified at this point. And that kind of sucks for everyone wanting to have like multiple homes or multiple buildings in case, someone wanted a house and a tavern and a museum and a fight club and so much more. I agree with that. Like, I'm not fond of that sort of restriction, and I can only suck up so much copium. I can only make myself feel better, assuming that this is for the sake of not having people fight for real estate because of technical limits or server costs or whatever. So one of the things I'm looking forward to next are more details about what these limits or limitations are, because we only have some screenshots that suggest we can have multiple rooms and sizes as well as multiple floors. 2 houses, 1 per faction, might not be enough to fit any one person's entire World of Warcraft career, but the houses themselves, hey, at least they seem like they can be pretty big. And we're only considering the launch of housing, mind you. I'm sure the team's focus is on wanting to make a very strong start to housing, and those first 2 houses need the amazing potential to become amazing once it gets into our hands. Odds are the next big post is going to talk about neighborhoods. They hinted a little bit in a bullet point that there's going to be neighborhood-specific activities, which mean, I don't know, actually. What are neighborhood-specific activities? Now, they're going to be both public and private neighborhoods, so I don't know how the dynamic is going to be there. And I suppose it's going to require it's going to require from everyone a certain social investment to make a public park or a sitting area or a cool entrance to the neighborhood with fireworks and pony rides and a cannon that'll shoot us straight to the front of our houses. But it sounds like they have some unique ideas they want to try out, and I'm interested in hearing about them. Obviously, while the WoW team has shown us a lot, housing is not in our hands to fiddle with, so it's hard to say like, oh, this is a big win. We just gotta wait until we can actually try things out. Anything can change before then, and there's always the potential for an otherwise awesome feature like housing to be spoiled by, something. And we as gamers, we can't even agree on what that might be. It might be everything. Like, some folks want housing to be as powerful as the garrison. Others want it to be like a cosmetic only thing. Some want it to be a place that replaces the capital city, while others want it to be as far removed from the city life as possible. These polarizing differences that are a make or break for people, but I mean, my personal take, if nothing else, the current reveals that we've seen, it's got me very, very excited. I'm fired up. I'm like making plans to finally dive back into the Cataclysm zones after like, I can't even count how many years now. And I'm going to actually loot things when I run raids and cram all the BOEs or all the non-soulbound stuff into the guild bank alts that I haven't used in like forever. The player housing soft launch began with this blog post, and you can count on me to cover every drip of it as we approach the launch. I hope to see more of you too though. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.